Hello and welcome back to my channel. Today I want to share a little bit about some blind spots I see a lot of my clients having. My clients who specifically come to want to re-enter a relationship because they haven't had one in a while, or they feel like they've sabotaged the relationship that they were in. And I want to share what seems to be a very much overlooked thing when it comes to this. The first thing that I notice is that a lot of people don't think or aren't fully aware of how their past relationships, so like how those past relationships ended, impact their willingness to enter a new relationship. Some people have had a history of being in a relationship and getting cheated on, being in a relationship and being in an abusive relationship, or even a relationship where they just felt like something big happened and that's why it ended, like it was a painful ending. And a lot of the times people just move on and they don't fully deal or process that ending, that painful ending. And I also think it's kind of like societally not something that is talked about enough. And that painful ending is almost accepted as normal and they just want to move on. But what I've seen over and over again is that when we start to work on the reasons why they have not been able to move on into a new relationship, a new healthy relationship, it's a lot of the times because these old imprints or these old experiences of relationships gone bad aren't dealt with, aren't processed. And so you should think of it as this, right? Like if you are driving a car and every time, or like the past 3 times you stepped into that car, you almost hit a wall, somebody else almost crashed into you, or you almost drove into the water. The fourth time you're going to take the car, you're going to think about it and your body might respond in a way of like, maybe we shouldn't do that. And so that's the same thing. Like your conscious might think, okay, let's just try a new relationship, but your subconscious really holds on to all these experiences that didn't go so well. And it almost is saying, hey, I don't think we should do this again because the last few times we did this, it didn't end well. And we were pretty hurt. We were badly hurt. And so when you see in your own life that you have the conscious decision or you've made a conscious decision to want to enter a relationship, but somehow it's not working out, I would definitely suggest you check your relationship track record and in terms of how things ended. And if you've done any work around that, and if you've done any work in resolving those pains, those situations that hurt you so deeply, I think it's very important to do that, because what ends up happening is if you don't do that, you often have a lot of resistance going into a new relationship. And that's why sabotage happens sometimes, or that's why you end up being single for a long time, because there is a barrier to entering something that was hurtful or that seemed to be hurtful to your system and your subconscious again. The other thing that I see a lot, and I think that this is getting less and less, but I still see this a lot, is that people don't realize how impactful the relationship they saw growing up, so the relationship between your parents or your caregivers, impacts how you enter relationships. So basically what ends up happening is that they model to you how you relate to someone like a partner. And a lot of the times when that relationship was not healthy, or if it was non-existent, you tend to not know how to navigate it in a healthy way. And even though we might consciously know, hey, I don't want to do what my parents did, I don't want to repeat those same behaviors, you have to see it almost as if you growing up in that environment created like a subconscious programming or an imprint that became like a roadmap for you. And so even if you don't want to do the things that you saw, you end up doing them if you don't work on this programming, if you don't work on releasing this programming, because yeah, essentially it's kind of like a tape that is playing and you need to remove that tape. The third thing that I see is a lot of self-blame. So if you, a lot of the times when my clients see a recurring pattern, let's say the recurring pattern is picking someone who's emotionally unavailable, they start to blame themselves. They start to blame them not having a good picker, not being able to see like the things that they should be seeing. They just get really down on themselves. And what I want to say about that is that it's not your fault. It's not your fault. It is your responsibility to clean up what is there, but it's not your fault. And the reason why I say it's not your fault is because the reason for you picking these emotionally unavailable people, and this is just an example, might lie in the fact that you've had this history of things going wrong, or you had the history of growing up in an environment where the modeling for what a healthy relationship was just not there. And so you're walking around with a program that you might be unaware of and a resistance that you might be unaware of. And your body and your system is just basically trying to protect you from future hurt. And so the sneaky way it tries to do that is with the idea of, if I go for an emotionally unavailable person, I can never fully attach to them, and so they can never fully hurt me. And so it's just a survival mechanism. And the real work is not in blaming ourselves, it's in finding ways to undo the programming that has been done. And while self-blame is a protective mechanism, trying to protect you from future hurt, and while self-blame is one protective mechanism trying to protect you from future hurt, having impossibly high standards is one too. Finding fault in whatever a person does, or any small thing that you notice that isn't perfect, is also a way your system is trying to protect you from future hurt. And it's basically like a way to say, hey, it's not me, it's not my fault that I am not finding anyone. It's because there's no one out there who's good enough, right? And one way to assess whether you're doing that is to make a list of the things that you find a non-negotiable, things that you find standards, and things that you find preferences, because these are different ranges of the things that you find important. Preferences are like, okay, I'd like this, but I don't need this. If somebody didn't have this, I would be okay. Standards are like, okay, we can talk about this, we can negotiate about this, and if we find a middle ground, I'd be okay with this. And non-negotiables are just that, non-negotiables. And if you can see whether the things that you are crossing off in another person falls in the non-negotiables, the preferences, or the standards, you can be honest with yourself about how harsh you're being when it comes to the criteria of someone not being good enough. So that is all for today. Ooh, the sun is shining bright. If you have any questions about this, feel free to ask them. If you just want to comment for more videos like this, please do so, because that tells me that you like this and that I should be focusing on this topic more. And if you can like this video, it also will send it out to other people who will appreciate it. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you in my next video.